How could you do this to me? He squeezed their body, wanted to settle down his heart, but Dad was beating incredibly. I. I'm sorry, Jungkook, they mumbled, patting his back. They whispered, his heart was covered. Seeing him in that vulnerable state, they clenched his shirt in his fist, an attempt to make him acknowledge his presence. You made me so worried all this time, he grumbled, pulling away. His jaw was clenched and muscle taut. His anger diffused once he had made sure that it was all right. I don't mean that, Jungkook. You still do. Jungkook, please settle down. They muttered, falling his jaw. They was getting scared. He had never been so outraged, never on him anyway. Why can't you accept your responsibility? I. Was something happen? How could I know? He continued to rumble, his caps on him. Nothing happened, Jungkook. You should have just gone without informing anyone. I will do it again, they whispered. This is the second time now. Why can't you take care of yourself? Jungkook yanked him closer. They clenched when he squeezed his arms with his rough hand. Are you even a doctor? You never look after anything. If all this is too much for you, just stay at home. They looked at him. He was for since now. He didn't even realize what he was saying. Stop it, Jungle. You're scrolling me for no reason. I did message you. It's not my mistake that my phone was dead. They explained. He was acting like a child. Rather than listening to Tay, he keep on blaming him. Is it not your mistake? Then I was not going insane here. You're overreacting now, Jungle. Overreacting. I was. Do you even know I felt I could not find you anywhere? Leave me. Talk to me once you have calmed down. They tried to push him away. It was hurting him with that. They didn't even know what to get anything, angry himself, and direct the matter. He was and needed to cool down. They struggled, but he didn't leave him. They darted at that, furious, and drug his teeth into his collarbone with all his bars. He held himself losing, and they were successfully pulling away. All the time, instant, they felt him. As they fell back, Theo, Jungkook panicked, catch him slightly for a fall. His breath was hacked as he was by his side. In second, all the thought was faded away, seeing his forehead for a scroll. He could not see him in. Jungkook made an effort to grab his hand, but Theo found it away. The ground balancing him on the cold floor. Leave me. You're getting angry for no reason. They murmured and struggled to stand up, but Jungkook carried him in his arms. Put me down. They hit his tiny fist on his shoulder, but he remained stiff and sat on the sofa. They glared at him. He had been successful in making him furious. They understood. He should have made sure to inform him, but why was he shout at him? They didn't want to act with him all the way he did with everyone, but not they. They looked away from him. Theo. Jungkook sat on his knees behind Tae and took his tiny fingers in his hold, removing the slipper, examining the body for no a possible injury. They stopped, folding his arms over the chest. Do it. Shout at me all you want. They grumbled with a pout, making Jungkook's sign. Here, grab me. They forwarded his arm in his direction. He had behaving irrationally and he was realizing it. He should not have acted like that. He brushed the arm, pulling his sleeve up to his shirt up, exposing the skin where he was holding the in that dead grip. His eyes soft. When he found a few marks, he should have listened to Tae carefully. How could he hurt him? He pierced the arm softly and tried to erase the pain. Tim saw that intense action He found it to speak well. His skin, the breath was hacked and placed his warm lips on the marks, repeating the action with both arms. I'm not shouting, he muttered, and beating at the amber eyes, and then lifted his brows and, not shouting, that thing we'll be yelling about since then was not a shout. I'm angry. You're not anymore. I am, he mumbled. He was angry, more on himself than they now. Shout now, Theo. He went, rubbing the sole of their feet, attempting to soothe them. They refused to look at him, and he grumbled. They tugged his feet. When the stranger pulled them away, they glared at him with bobbed his head, as a no, if he asked him to not to flee. So that Bobby was bad. Jungkook glared at the huge man on his knees, clasping his feet in his big hand. They turned away before they raced for him. They were supposed to be angry. Move, they ordered. No, he refused, getting closer to him. Jungkook, they warned, as he groaned, challenging him to proceed. His hand held their thighs, catching him completely. Get aside before I kick you, they said, as he straightened his shoulders. Jungkook squared his hand, and, wanting to put his head on his lap, they felt his stomach would flutter at the movement they was producing to stalk his hair when they were shouting at him a few moments ago. They wondered how to move that bulldozer before the idea stuck in his mind. They clamped and examined. Get up, or you'll sleep alone tonight. They spoke carefully, brushing him all along. Jungkook bolted up, and hearing his word, he stared into their eyes and see if they was kidding. He had a serious faded on. So you want me to sleep alone today? They questioned, with his spray and finger brushing his over stubble. What happened now? Why aren't you shouting anymore? They taunted at his silence and moved away from him. Moving away was better than sleeping alone without a soft, warm personal pillow. He grabbed when they stood up and walked toward the bedroom. And yes, he looked up at they pronounced, I will go to my mom's place after tomorrow work. Maybe I still there. Don't wait. That I didn't inform you. That he shut the door on surprised face. Mom, please. Stay there. They started and closed the door in disbelief. Was they seriously mad at him? He groaned, pushing his hair. Who the told you to shout at him? Mr. John, would you like to eat? Elf placing that cup and coffee in front of him. She looked around at the mess in front of him, tied up that documents. Nothing. Jungkook mumbled, not bothering to look up from the documents in his hand. He had returned from office an hour ago and discovered that paper had needed to review. He had forgotten about the work for the first time in his life, and the credit was definitely goes to Mr. John Theon. Mr. John asked me to make you eat no matter what, Elf explained, and Jungkook looked at him. On his expression, if they care, why was he not back yet? He grumbled, refusing Elf, and continued to work. It's been 2 days since they went to his parents, and he was not back yet. Jungkook was extremely dissatisfied. They said him to stay because he missed his parent. Jungkook snarled at his thought, but about to missing him. He knew somewhere they was angry at him. He pushed away the thoughts and stood up. He skimmed his hand through the damp locks and left the study, popping down on the empty bed. He wished he had that soft, squishy pillow to hug.